This photograph, I really like it. He's not such a fan of it. I like it for it being, it's an expression that was so strong to me because we were on the terrace of this woman's house, and right next to it was a house that was completely burned down because of an encounter. So this woman lived in, she was a neighbor, and she picked up this is a plate. She picked up the plate, she got it up for me, and she said, इसमें हमें गुस्से में आर्मी ने सब जगह शूट कर दिया और मेरी प्लेट्स, मेरे यूटेंसिल्स को भी शूट कर दिया. एंड शी पिक्ड इट अप सेइंग इसकी क्या ज़रूरत थी. मतलब यूटेंसिल्स में कौन छुपता है. I'm Avani and I've been shooting in Kashmir for the past 4 years. I started going there because of a documentary I was doing on my father, and then I stuck around. Okay, I want to show you something actually. These pictures are not up, but I want to still show them to you. Now this is a family of a 15-year-old boy in 2016 October, and then thrown on the road in Harvan. Okay. And then that's his father, army, and he was a juvenile. The reason I'm a photographer today is because of Kashmir. I felt the need to pick up the camera because when I was in Kashmir. So I'm happy I'm here because I'm being able to share my experience from Kashmir. I'm not their spokesperson. I don't want to be, and the reason I'm talking today is because very few people are, and this is when I want to say that let's not talk about the community as the problem, because we need to connect with the individual to understand what it is and what it's all about, because that's what I've been doing. These are kids after the day of Eid, playing with guns actually. The child who picks up a stone, had picked up a stone in 2016 or 2010, is a boy who's going to pick up the gun now. So if we don't give them a good present, don't expect them to be good future out of them where suddenly things will be fine, you know. Of this one particular image, this is the one that he's talking about. So that picture was taken behind the Khanka Mosque in downtown Srinagar. This child is sitting on that ledge, and behind the ledge there are these wires all around, which obviously there is no need for those wires. What are you doing with those wires behind a mosque across the Jhelum? So he's like, आंटी आप कौन से साइड से आए हैं? तो I said, कौन से साइड से का क्या मतलब है? So आप इंडिया के साइड से आए हैं या पाकिस्तान की साइड से आए हैं? So I got a little intimidated by this 7 or 8 year old. So I said, आप मुझे बताओ, आप छोटे हो, आप कौन से साइड से आए हो? So he looked at me and he stared at me for a bit and he said, मैं अल्लाह के साइड से आया हूँ. So, I mean, that's the essence of the place. These kids are shocked to know in Kashmir that you haven't seen wailing mothers, that you haven't seen an encounter every day. When you are not going to school half the year because of curfew and hartal from different sides, when you are seeing an encounter almost every day your news is covered with a dead face. Every day you are being checked and there is security all over, all around, and the scape is so much security and so much wiring that you don't necessarily need it. You know, if you are training a mind with visually, with only this kind of understanding of the state, then what do you expect a person to grow up to be? This is where a helicopter crash happened in Feb, and six people died and 1 civilian. This was a little village in Badgam where these kids hung around, where you could find the shoes of the army men in the thing. You could find parts, the restricted manual, which is, when I have a picture of that where the child is holding it. Then you have another picture of this boy holding some little, just a part of the aircraft. Then this boy had taken a stick and picked up intestines. Okay. Now that's what you see every day, and you play around it. You play around shoes of dead people. You play around intestines. You play around with just stuff that is a symbol of death. which happened almost 12 hours back. You're playing around that. That's your playground. If that's your playground, where is your future? I was at the funeral in Pulwama 2 days before the third phase of election, which was Shopian Pulwama. And this was the last man in Burhan Wani's gang. His name is Latif Tiger. He was killed, and he was killed in Shopian. And funeral was in his home, in his village in Pulwama. And there are at least 10,000 people there. Okay, this is on a Friday. Monday is the election. 3 days before elections. What do you think are people going to do? Those 10,000 people who are going to vote on Monday, what are you creating in their minds? Who out of there is going to say, "Chalo, ab vote karenge hum"? Then the next day I went to the encounter site where it was a civilian's house, and these kids between 7 and 15 were taking me around the house and showing me. These boys pointed a bullet mark, like there were lots of bullet marks, but one of them, and saying, "Ye dekho, ye wo wala gun hai." You know, because these kids know everything. So my camera was hanging, and I picked up my camera just to take a picture of the mark. Now 5 other boys from behind me picked up their hands and put their hand like this as a sign of rebellion. Now that child who has seen this, what is he going to grow up to be? What is in his mind? What does he take from here? This is a sign of rebellion as a 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old. What is this? You know? So that is the future. So development, no development, whatever, this is the future. The reason I'm talking today is to create space for conversation. I don't want to further polarize our conversations about scrapping or not scrapping, or Kashmiri or militancy or anything like that. Let's wait for Kashmiris to talk, and let's create space to listen when someone is talking or someone wants to talk from Kashmir, and when they do get to talk. Let's just open up some space in our heads, in our lives, to be able to do that. When someone turns around and says, "What about Kashmiri Pandits?" If I was born, I would condemn it. Today, every Kashmiri will condemn it. We cannot go back in time and start fighting the past. What is happening in the present is going to create space for the future, and right now the future does not look good. It's a photograph. It is after the protest, after the Friday Jummah namaz, and these kids have gone out and they're all standing in one corner with, you know, pellet shells all on the floor and all. So they pick up one and they're like, "ये देखो, ये pellet बोलते हैं कि ये use नहीं करना, ये non lethal है." हमारे इतने सारे kind of have got blinded. ये बोलते हैं कि नहीं यूज़ करेंगे, लेकिन फिर भी ये लोग यूज़ करते हैं. And there is a picture of the shadow of a young boy with actually just the shells all around. And the children were picking it up to show as evidence कि देखो ये यूज़ करते हैं. This child, when she saw my camera, she put her hands like this and stood and just stared at me, like almost like she questioned me, but she did it. And they were lovely, they were loving, and they were so sweet. And we played around, then we went to the next shop, we picked up some sweets. So we did all of that. But when they are expressing themselves on camera as a statement, their emotion will do it for you.
कश्मीर जो है जन्नत है, पैराडाइज है. तो बहुत सारे फोटोग्राफर्स ने बुक्स भी कर दी हैं, और सारा काम जो है वो उसी तरह, द ब्यूटी ऑफ इट, and tends to be nice, pretty, predictable, beautiful pictures of girls, of landscape, of people, of children, but no insight into the lives of the people. So Kashmir has been going through a big turmoil, and paradise in pain, paradise being destroyed. So you cannot go and take nice, beautiful pictures again and again, because that is highly irresponsible. अगर कश्मीर हमारा है, जो कि है, तो कश्मीरी भी हमारे हैं, और जिम्मेवारी भी हमारी होनी चाहिए.